She pretended to sleep to test a janitor, but his whisper exposed a truth that shattered the CEO's world. She lay perfectly still on the leather couch in her top-floor office, the soft hum of the city 50 floors below filling the silence. The lights were dimmed. Her phone screen was dark. To anyone watching, Eleanor Royce looked fast asleep. She wants tea. Eleanor Royce never slept during work hours. Not in 15 years, not since she declawed her way from a scholarship kid with borrowed suits to the youngest CEO the company had ever seen. But today was different. Today was a test. Through barely open lashes, she watched the reflection in the glass wall opposite her office door. A janitor pushed his cart slowly down the hallway. Marcus Hale, mid-30s, broad shoulders softened by exhaustion, hands rough, back slightly bent, like someone who carried more weight than mops and trash bags. He worked nights, came in before dawn, and left after everyone else. Quiet. Polite. Invisible except to her. 3 weeks ago, Eleanor had overheard something she could forget. She stayed late, arguing with the board on speakerphone, when she heard a man, his voice in the hallway low, gentle, trembling just slightly. "I know, baby. I know you miss me. I'll read to you when I get home, okay? Even if you were asleep." There'd been a pause. No, Daddy is not tired. Daddy is just working. That voice had followed her home. It did match the man she saw now, pushing a squeaky cart, eyes down, uniform 2 sizes too big. So today, she pretended to sleep. Marcus stopped outside her office. Eleanor felt it, the pause, the shift in the air. Most people glanced and moved on. Executives assumed her door was off limits. Assistants were terrified of waking her. Marcus leaned slightly toward the glass, his reflection sharpened in the pane. He frowned. "Oh no," he whispered. Eleanor's breath almost caught. He stepped closer, carefully parking his cart so the wheels would squeal. He knocked once. Softly. No response. He knocked again, quieter. "Ma'am?" he murmured. "Ms. Royce?" Silence. He hesitated, then slowly opened the door. Eleanor stayed perfectly still. Her chest rose and fell in slow, even rhythm, the way she'd practiced in meditation. She could feel every sound, the soft click of the door, the whisper of his boots on the carpet. Marcus stood just inside, unsure. "She is asleep," he muttered to himself. "Shouldn't he be?" He took a step closer, then stopped, as if remembering his place. "I'll just clean around," he said quietly, like he was speaking to a child. He moved with surprising care, lifting trash rather than dragging it, wiping surfaces without a sound. When he reached her desk, he noticed the coffee cup cold, untouched. He frowned again. "That is not good," he whispered. Then something unexpected happened. He pulled a small folded cloth from his pocket clean, neatly pressed and gently placed it over the edge of the desk, right where the sun hit Eleanor's eyes, so the light would wake her. Her pulse spiked. No one did things like that for her. People rushed her, feared her, used her. No one protected her sleep. Marcus stepped back, wiping his hands on his uniform like he'd crossed a line. "I'll be quick," he said softly. "You work too hard." Eleanor felt something tighten in her chest. He finished cleaning and turned to leave. But before he reached the door, he paused again. He looked at her face, really looked, his expression softened in a way that startled her. "You remind me of my wife," he whispered. Eleanor's mind went sharp. "Wife. She used to fall asleep anywhere," Marcus continued, voice barely there. "Couch, chair, hospital rooms. Hospital." She said sleeping meant the world was quiet for a bit. He swallowed. "I hope yours is quiet too." He turned away quickly, like he hadn't meant to say that out loud. Then he did the one thing Eleanor never expected. He walked back, stopped beside her couch, and leaned down just slightly, not touching her, not close enough to be inappropriate. And he whispered something that froze her cold. "If anyone ever hurts you," he said softly, "I'd stop them. I don't care who they are." Her breath almost broke. That one's T flattery. It one's T flirting. It one's T ambition. It was a promise. Marcus straightened embarrassed, like he'd said too much, and left the office, closing the door behind him with a quiet click. The moment he was gone, Eleanor's eyes snapped open. Her heart was pounding. Who was this man? She sat up slowly, staring at the door like it might open again. Her reflection in the glass looked different, less steel, more woman. She stood, walked to her desk, and touched the cloth he'd placed there. It smelled faintly of detergent and something warmer home. Her phone buzzed. A message from HR, reminder janitorial contract review tomorrow. Recommendation, reduce night staff by 20%. Marcus Hale's name was on the list. Eleanor stared at it. Then she whispered, to the empty room, not a chance. Outside, unaware of what he'd just changed, Marcus pushed his cart toward the elevators, pulling out his phone. "Hey, superstar," he said softly when the call connected. "Did you finish your homework?" A small voice answered, bright and tired. "Daddy, when are you coming home?" Marcus smiled, even as his eyes burned. "Soon," he said. "I promise." Unseen, 50 floors above, Eleanor Royce made a decision that would shatter both their lives and rebuild them in ways neither of them could imagine. The next morning, Eleanor Royce arrived earlier than usual. The building was still waking up, lights flickering on floor by floor, elevators humming softly, the smell of fresh coffee drifting through the lobby. She stood by the glass wall of her office, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the hallway. She was waiting for a board member. She was waiting for a janitor. Marcus Hale appeared exactly at 6:12 a.m., pushing his cart with the same quiet precision. Same uniform. Same tired posture. Same invisible presence. Except now, Eleanor saw everything. The way he slowed near offices with glass doors so the wheels would squeak. The way he straightened picture frames executives never noticed. The way he checked trash cans twice like mistakes weren't allowed in his world. When he reached her office, he stopped. He froze. Eleanor was standing this time, awake, watching him. For a split second, panic flashed across his face. "Oh," he stammered, stepping back. "I am sorry, ma'am. I didn't mean to yesterday, I thought." "You thought I was asleep," Eleanor said calmly. "Yes," he nodded quickly. "I shouldn't have come in. If there is a complaint, I understand." "There won't be," she said. Marcus blinked. She gestured to the chair across from her desk. "Sit." His hands tightened on the cart handle. "Ma'am, I am not supposed to." "Marcus," she said gently. The sound of his name from her mouth startled him more than anything else. He hesitated, then slowly stepped inside, parking the cart just outside the door like a habit he could break. He sat on the edge of the chair, back straight, eyes down. Eleanor studied him. Up close, she noticed the scars on his hands, old ones, the faint bruise on his wrist, yellowing, the dark circles under his eyes that sleep never quite erased. "You work nights and mornings," she said. "Yes, ma'am. And you have a daughter." Marcus looked up sharply. He swallowed. "I keep my phone on silent. I don't let it interrupt my work." "That is not what I asked," Eleanor said softly. He nodded once. "Yes, Lily. She is 7. Eleanor felt that tightening again. "And your wife?" Marcus, his jaw clenched. "She passed," he said quietly. 3 years ago." "I am sorry." He shrugged, but his shoulders sagged. "People usually are." She leaned forward. "Yesterday, you said something to me when you thought I was asleep." Marcus went pale. I did mean." He stood halfway, panic rising. "That was inappropriate. I crossed a line. You can report me. I understand." "Sit," Eleanor said again. He obeyed, shaking slightly. "Why did you say it?" she asked. Marcus stared at his hands. "Because you looked tired." That was it. No excuses, no charm, no attempt to impress, just truth. "You're the CEO," he continued. "People think you are made of steel. But everyone gets tired. Everyone needs someone to watch their back." Eleanor exhaled slowly. No one ever said that to me. Marcus gave a sad smile. They don't say it to janitors either. She glanced at her phone on the desk, the HR email still open. Do you know there's a proposal to cut night staff? She asked. His shoulders stiffened. Yes, rumors move fast. And what will you do if it happens? He did hesitate. I'll find something else. I always do, but I want to let it touch my daughter, he said firmly. That's the rule. Eleanor stood and walked to the window, staring out at the city she ruled. How much do you make? She asked. He hesitated, then answered honestly. It was less than she spent on lunch. She turned back to him, anger flickering behind her calm. You read to your daughter every night? Yes. Even when you were exhausted? Yes. Even when you were breaking? Marcus met her eyes then, especially then. Something inside Eleanor cracked. Her father's face flashed in her mind, rich, powerful, distant, a man who'd never read her a single story. You're not losing your job, she said suddenly. Marcus frowned. Mom, in fact, she continued, I want you moved to day shift. His eyes widened. Day shift pays less. I know, she said, which is why your salary will stay the same. He stared at her like she spoke in another language. And, she added, your daughter's school tuition will be covered under our employee support program. That program does It does now. Marcus stood shaking. I can't accept that. You can, Eleanor said. And you will, because it's not charity. What is it then? She looked at him steadily. An investment. In a man who whispers promises to strangers and keeps them. He swallowed hard, emotion rising dangerously close. Thank you, he whispered. She nodded. There's one more thing. Yes, ma'am. You'll have lunch with me today. Marcus nearly laughed. That would cause a riot. Then let them riot. At noon, the executive cafeteria went silent. The CEO walked in, followed by a janitor in uniform. Eyes widened, forks paused mid-air. Whispers erupted. Marcus wanted to disappear. Eleanor sat like she owned the world because she did. Sit, she said. He did. They ate quietly at first. Then she asked about Lily, about books, about his wife Anna, about how she used to hum while cooking and forget the lyrics. Marcus talked like someone who hadn't been listened to in years. When lunch ended, Eleanor stood. Marcus, she said loudly enough for everyone to hear. Thank you for your company. He nodded, cheeks burning. That night, Marcus tucked Lily into bed earlier than usual. Daddy, she said sleepily, you're home before the moon. He smiled. I had a good day. Did you read to someone today? He paused. In a way. Across the city, Eleanor sat alone in her penthouse, staring at the ceiling. For the first time in years, sleep didn't come from exhaustion. It came from peace. But peace never lasts. And somewhere, deep inside the company she controlled, eyes were watching, plotting angry that a janitor had caught the CEO's attention. By morning, whispers would turn into threats. And Hale would learn that being seen was far more dangerous than being invisible. The first threat arrived disguised as concern. Eleanor was in the middle of a board briefing when her phone vibrated once, sharp, deliberate. Only 3 people had that setting. She did, to look at it. She already knew. The room was polished steel and glass, faces arranged in practiced neutrality. Men and women who smiled with their mouths and calculated with their eyes. People who didn't miss patterns. One of them cleared his throat. Eleanor, said Richard Vale, senior board member, voice smooth as oil. There's talk. She met his gaze. There always is. About your recent behavior, he continued. Lunches, schedule changes, exceptions. She leaned back in her chair. Say what you mean. A faint smile tugged at his lips. You were blurring lines. Employees are confused. Investors notice instability. Because I had lunch with a janitor? She asked calmly. Silence stretched, then another board member spoke. Because you elevated him. Eleanor folded her hands. I rewarded integrity. Richard tilted his head. Integrity does show up on balance sheets. Neither does loyalty, she replied. But companies collapse without it. The meeting ended with polite nods and sharpened eyes. The moment she stepped into the hallway, her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. You should be careful who you protect. Some people break under pressure. Her jaw tightened. Downstairs, Marcus felt it before he saw it. The stairs had changed. They weren't curious anymore. They were sharp. Hostile. Conversations stopped when he passed. A supervisor forgot to log his shift change. Someone moved his car twice. A warning slipped under his locker. Know your place. He folded the paper carefully and put it in his pocket. At home that night, Lily was unusually quiet. Daddy, she said while coloring, a man came to school today. Marcus froze. What man? He talked to my teacher. He wore a suit. Cold spread through Marcus's chest. What did he say to you? She shrugged. He asked if you liked your job. Marcus forced a smile. And what did you say? That you work very hard, she said proudly. And that you read funny voices. He hugged her too tight, then loosened quickly. That night, Marcus did sleep. By morning, Eleanor had made up her mind. She called Marcus into her office. He came immediately, face tight, eyes alert. You are being watched, she said without preamble. I know, he replied. I went to your daughter's school. His jaw clenched. I know, she stood. This ends now. Marcus shook his head. No, this is my problem. I won't let them use you. They already are, she said, and they won't stop until one of us backs down. I can quit, he said quietly. The word hit her harder than she expected. No, she said sharply. Then softer, you want tea. He met her gaze. You don't understand. I've lived like this before. When Anna got sick, when bills piled up, when people smiled and took things away anyway. He exhaled. I can disappear. I am good at it. Eleanor stepped closer. And I am good at not letting good people get crushed. She picked up her tablet and turned it toward him. On the screen, financial records, shell companies, hidden payouts, names. Richard Vale's name appeared again and again. They've been bleeding the company for years, she said. Quietly. Cleanly, they thought I was too busy proving myself to notice. Marcus stared. Why show me this? Because, she said, today I end them. And they all strike back. His voice was steady. What do you need from me? She hesitated, then said the truth. I need you to trust me. That afternoon, Eleanor called an emergency board meeting. By evening, the company was on fire. Lawyers flooded the building. Auditors seized records. Security escorted 2 board members out in silence. Richard Vale did, to look so smooth anymore, his face gray, hands shaking. The press exploded. Headlines screamed betrayal, corruption, power shifts. And one quieter headline slipped in between them. EEO defends janitor in corporate purge. By nightfall, the threats escalated. Eleanor's penthouse security tripled. Marcus was followed home. A car idled too long outside his building. That night, someone smashed his windshield. He stood in the cold, staring at the shattered glass, hands clenched. Then Eleanor's car pulled up behind him. She got out without hesitation. I told you, she said quietly. They'd lash out. He turned to her. You shouldn't be here. I know. They stood there, broken glass crunching under their shoes. This ends one way, Marcus said. You win, or I lose. Eleanor looked at him, eyes blazing. No, we both win. Or this company does. He'd deserve either of us. The final blow came 3 days later. A forged report leaked to the press, accusing Marcus of blackmail, of an affair, of manipulation. Photos doctored, ugly spread like wildfire. Eleanor watched them appear on screens across the city. Her hands shook. She could end it with one statement. but it would expose everything, and it would destroy him anyway. Marcus walked into her office that evening, shoulders straight. "I am resigning," he said. "No," she whispered. "I want to let Lily grow up seeing her father dragged through mud," he said. "I want to let you burn for me." Eleanor closed her eyes. Then she opened them and made the decision she'd been avoiding. She walked past him, straight into the press room. Cameras flashed. Voices shouted. She stepped up to the podium. "I have something to say," she began. Silence fell. "The man you were attacking is not my lover, not my pawn, not my mistake." She paused. "He is my standard." Gasps rippled. She continued. "Marcus Hale did what every leader should do. He protected those weaker than himself without asking for reward." She lifted a folder. "These accusations are false. This company will pursue legal action against every individual involved in this smear." She looked directly into the cameras. "And let me be clear. If integrity threatens you, you don't belong here." The room erupted. Outside, Marcus watched on his phone, heart pounding. That night, arrests were made. By morning, resignations followed. By noon, the truth buried the lies. Weeks later, the building felt different, quieter, cleaner. Marcus walked the halls not as a janitor, but as director of facilities and community programs. Same integrity, new badge. Eleanor watched him from her office, smiling softly. That evening, Marcus read Lily a story. "Daddy," she asked, "are you brave?" He thought of a woman who'd stood at a podium and burned her own shield to protect him. "I learned from someone brave," he said. Across the city, Eleanor lay on her couch, eyes open, smiling at the ceiling. This time, she was pretending to sleep. And when Marcus whispered good night into the phone, she heard it clear as a promise. Some things, once seen, could never be invisible again.